Superman Unchained issue 2 continues Scott Snyder's and Jim Lee's run on the Superman books in DC's New 52. This will only be a very quick review, but I wanted to discuss this issue because it's got a lot of really interesting ideas in it. Now, the issue itself is bookended with appearances by Lex Luthor. Now, I won't go into what his appearance entails, but it's certainly sowing some seeds for future plots, no doubt. What really makes this book interesting is that there is a scene where Superman arrives at a collapsing building and has only 19 seconds left and has to try and figure out what to do to save everyone. And it's the fact that Scott Snyder uses Superman's inner monologue to establish, how the character thinks and approaches any given situation. Now, this is something he did in issue 1, which I mentioned in my review of that book. And I do think that it's something that the Superman books needed, because I feel like Superman as a character can sort of alienate the audience, when he is just the sort of god who looks down on everyone and just decides what to do for us and for the better of the human race sort of thing. I like to have an insight into how the guy actually thinks. Now, it's interesting because here's the scene itself. It's actually, I think it's the building that Tom Cruise scaled in MI4. But Superman arrives and he says, well, I could try sort of blowing out the windows and catching it, but then X amount of people will probably die. So it shows that he really sort of takes into account the loss of human life that his actions may cause. And this is something that I feel makes up for holes in the character that the film Man of Steel didn't do. This makes it very clear that Superman actually cares about people and will not take an action that may, result in the deaths of innocent people, even if it will save the majority. He'll think of a way to save everyone. So that was really, really well done in this book. It does go into a different sort of subplot that's definitely establishing, again, with like the Lex Luthor stuff, plots that may crop up in future issues. But another great scene in this is a scene between Superman and Batman, where it establishes their sort of relationship and dynamic, and establishes it to be much less easy than a lot of books sort of hint at. It says that perhaps Batman has trust issues, but it also goes into, in the epilogue, why Batman is the way that he is. But it is very interesting. It essentially talks about, and probably a minor spoiler alert, it talks about technology that Batman may have that might be able to kill Superman. So again, it hints at a very interesting dynamic between those two characters. And to be honest, while I've read a lot of Batman in the past, as well as quite a bit of Superman, I've never read sort of any Justice League or any of the books where they're together, so I don't know whether or not this dynamic's been done before, but it is very interesting, the fact that they lay that out in this book, and I hope that comes into play in later issues. I think that could be very interesting. So, all in all, Superman Unchained issue 2 was a great read, and Scott Snyder is continuing his sort of hot streak at the minute. His run on Batman is fantastic. I've been buying that since issue 1 and loving it. I have every intention to carry on with Superman Unchained because it's shaping up to be probably the best of the Superman books in the New 52. So I'm interested to see where they go for it and how they develop some of the subplots that they establish in this issue. So yeah, Superman Unchained issue 2, if you're sort of wondering whether or not to start buying it, issue 1's still available. I believe that this version of issue 2 is a variant cover, which I do really like. So I would highly recommend it.